So if we had to give somebody a basic little toolbox, let's say we're gonna try and create some of these lines. So altered is a thing you like to do.
Yeah.
You're doing it in what spot down there?
I was thinking G altered E position of the cage system.
Like G augmented. Okay, so what would be a scale shape for that if you had to go string by string? Okay, slowly.
Then I have 2 notes on the B string, so I don't have to wander up here.
Right. So you have this unusual organization. It's not a repeating number of notes.
It's not laid out to be mechanically optimal to play.
Got it. Okay, but you have your root down there. Like, where are the tones in that you kind of
target?
Yeah.
For a typical G7 altered chord, it would be root, 7th, 3rd, flat 9.
Okay. Got it. And so your lines, you're thinking about trying to hit those notes. Maybe.
Yeah. And one thing that I always try is to resolve it.
Okay.
Because that's altered will be very rarely played in a modal context.
Right. It's usually
it's usually a functional thing where it resolves to a tonic.
Gotcha. Right. So then this is the whole playing through the changes concept that we all find so difficult to do. Now on piano, right? If I'm doing something like that on piano, like here's my G, right? Mm-hmm. This G is always going to be in the spot. Like anytime I play a G, if I play an augmented G7, well, what if I want to arpeggiate that?
Yeah.
I don't do anything different. It's the same.
Yeah.
Everything is identical. And there's so this concept of positions doesn't exist. Caged doesn't exist. The way I think of it is it's a lot easier to play in one key on a piano because nothing changes as you go through this. Playing through the changes, you have different fingerings, but essentially the same advantages apply. But in guitar, if you can figure out one key, it's really pretty hard to do because you've got caged in all these different spots.
But you can transpose it more easily.
Yes, once you get it, you can transpose.
Try to play the same key in 5 different positions.
On guitar?
So, yeah, because what a lot of piano players and a lot of saxophone players will do, they will take standards and transpose them to all 12 keys. Which is not 100% necessary on guitar. I think it's more like if you do it in thirds, maybe that'll be enough. You don't have to go through all 12 because they become too similar. However, try to play the same standard only in this position, only in this position, only in this position, and
meaning
only
through
in
the
this
cage
position.
type areas.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just
and that's like having 5 different keys.
Exactly. So on piano, the reason why we do this chromatic thing, because if you want to do something like ninth chords descending, like that's actually kind of tricky. And I used to do this when I was pianos as a kid because you're
basically
going
can't just
all
go.
over. Easiest thing in the world, right? Yeah, and it's like you're like, oh, no one even cares. But like Stevie Wonder does, the Sir Duke thing where he's kind of going through these ninth chords. That's actually kind of a pain to do on keyboard. So the multiple keys thing just changes up the fingerings. But on guitar, the multiple spots, positions in the key.
Within the
key,
so
let's.
So sort of, you can think of it as 5 keys within the key.
Yeah. So for simplicity's sake, let's just use this area down here. This is kind of like your bar chord area. That's your root note is on the E string.
Use that for G7, and then use the A position for C major to resolve it, maybe.
Okay. So that's your root is being played by the middle finger there.
Yes.
And that's also your power chord.
I'll play a more simple chord for. People know this one.
Do you see that as the same position?
Yes.
So that position and the other one, where you had the middle finger, are really the same spot?
Yeah. This is just a bar thing, and I add the sharp.
But you have different licks in that with the middle finger chord than you do with the bar chord?
I don't know. I think of it as one big thing.
Well, so then for the purposes of this exercise, let's do the thumb, the G chord where you have the thumb on the E string, or you have the root on the E string, and that'll be your altered chord. Your augmented can be there.
One thing we might want to try is to add a 2 chord before that.
Okay.
So we play something. Let's say one thing I would do. I would play a consistent lick leading into the G7. That would be my 8th notes lick for the phrase for D minor, and then I create these different scenarios.
Okay.
How I lead into the G7 chord, and then how I lead out of it.
So you're talking 2-5-1.
2-5-1, yeah.
It's like
D minor 7,
minor 7 flat 5.
No, D minor 7.
Or just minor 7.
Oh, we can do minor if you like.
Well, what is the more common would be just straight like minor 9.
Both equally important.
So this going to, and then going to this.